Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Tonight, I'm going to try to make this live under 2 hours because StreamYards is saying that I'm running out of storage. So, I'm going to have to make this kind of short. So, it's going to be a short live. But we are talking about let me actually pull up there. Okay. What charge right now? There we go. So we are actually going to be talking first about, hang on, let me bring up her picture. We are going to be talking about Vanessa Guillen. Can I make it bigger? I don't think I can. Open. I don't know what I did. We are going to be talking about Vanessa Guillen and what happened to Vanessa Guillen. So I'm going to read you an article on Vanessa Guillen. So let's just jump right into it. So let me put Vanessa to the side. So let's read. Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope you guys are doing well. Disclaimer. Everything that I say is all alleged in my opinion. I'm not responsible for others' opinions, actions, or words. Everything I get is from trusted sources, news articles, and yeah. So let's read who was Vanessa Guillen. So Vanessa Guillen was a specialist. They called her Specialist Guillen, who was born and raised in Houston with 5 siblings. Her mother, Gloria Guillen. Hold on, can you guys hear me? I don't think I'm going to have my wallet tonight. I'm not sure. I don't know. Oh, I think I do. Okay. I think my mod is here. Right. Yeah, she is. Yay! Okay, my mod's here. Okay, anyways. So her mother, Gloria Guillen, says she had an interest in the military since childhood. When she played with her brother's toy pew-pews, despite her mother's reservation, she decided to enlist at 18. Athletic, she lifted weights, played soccer, and ran on track and cross-country teams. Specialist Guillen's mother says she had enjoyed attending church with her daughter. A memorial at her home was surrounded by angels and figures of the Virgin Mary. It is common to have the Virgin Mary in the house, which Specialist Guillen wore on a gold necklace that she never removed. I actually have a necklace of the Virgin Mary myself. So let's talk about Vanessa Guillen and what happened to her. So one person had pleaded guilty in connections with her unaliving. I told you guys last night to watch the documentary of I Am Vanessa Guillen on Netflix because it shows things that I cannot show you here on YouTube because YouTube will completely take me down. So, if you haven't already, this is not sponsored by Netflix or anything, YouTube. Please go watch it because it dips into Vanessa Guillen. But they did convict somebody. So prosecutors announced a charge in the case on July 2nd, 2020, detailing the accusations that Specialist Guillen was unalived by another soldier who then tried to dispose of her remains. During this, I told you guys last night, during Vanessa being missing, when they were looking for her, they did find some soldiers' bodies, allegedly, in Fort Hood. Now, if you know, you know about Fort Hood stories. You know. In a federal complaint, the accused soldier was identified as U.S. Army Specialist Aaron Robinson, 20. A few days before the charge was announced, Specialist Robinson decided to unalive himself. Authorities also arrested his girlfriend, Cecilia Aguilar. Cecilia Aguilar, I think, is still in prison, if I'm not mistaken. In Killeen, Texas, Justice Department officials said in court documents that Specialist Robinson told Mrs. Aguilar that he repeatedly struck Specialist Guillen on the head with a hammer, which caused her tragic passing and hit her body in a large box. The couple then tried to dismember and burn the remains, according to the complaint. Mrs. Aguilar pleaded guilty on November 29th to 1 count of accessory to murder after the fact and 3 counts of false statement or representation. She faces a maximum possible penalty of 30 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and $1 million fine, prosecutors said. So this is from the New York. Is it New York or Los Angeles? No, and this is from New York Times. I love the New York Times. They give me like great information. So obviously it's not in order, but when she disappeared, Specialist Guillen was last seen around noon on April 22nd of 2020 in the parking lot of her squadron headquarters at Fort Hood. Investigators who searched her phone found that the last person she texted was Specialist Robinson. Specialist Robinson worked in a building at Fort Hood that was adjacent to where Specialist Guillen worked, and according to Specialist Agent Damian Phelps of the Criminal Investigation Command, a witness told investigators that Specialist Guillen left the arms room where she had been working and went to the arms room controlled by Specialist Robinson to confirm serial numbers for weapons and equipment. The complaint said Specialist Robinson later said he read her the serial numbers and gave her paperwork. According to the court documents, he said he believed she went to go to the motor pool. 2 witnesses later said on the same day they saw Specialist Robinson coming out of the arms room, pulling a large, quote-unquote, tough box with wheels that appeared very heavy in weight, according to the complaint. It was later to be told that that box he was pulling was actually the box where Specialist Guillen, aka Vanessa, was in. Specialist Guillen was reported missing on April 23rd of 2020. On April 24th, the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command posted a news release asking for the public's help in finding her. Thousands of soldiers searching the buildings, barracks, fields, training areas, and lakes and trails. So they searched all over Fort Hood for her. On June 30th, 2020, human remains were found near the Leon River in Bell County, Texas. On July 3rd, the Army confirmed it was Vanessa's remains. So this is involving Cecily. When Specialist Guillen disappeared, Mrs. Aguilar, 22 at the time, was living with Specialist Robinson. According to the complaint, she pleaded guilty in November and faces a maximum possible penalty of 30 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and a $1 million fine. According to the court docs, from April 22nd, 2020 through July 1st, 2020, Aguilar assisted Army Specialist Aaron Robinson in corruptly altering, destroying, mutilating, and concealing evidence that is the body of Vanessa Guillen in order to prevent Robinson from being charged with and prosecuted for any crime. Said a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Prosecutors said in the court documents that she initially lied to investigators about what she knew, but on June 30th confessed to playing a role in the disposal of Specialist Guillen's body. So I believe Cecily was, I think she was dating Aaron, if I'm not mistaken. I know in the documentary it says what she was to him. But allegedly, well, we'll get there. Hold on. Before I talk about what we're saying, let's finish this. Mrs. Aguilar told investigators that Specialist Robinson had picked her up late on April 22nd or early on April 23rd at the gas station where she worked. So, and she then says she helped Robinson dismember the body with an axe or a hatchet and a machete style KNIFE. According to the complaint, the couple buried their remains near the Leon River. I cannot get these records because it involves military, so I cannot do a FOIA request on it before you guys ask. I can't. But the main thing that it said in the documentary was this. So Vanessa's family said they had allegations that Vanessa was being actually harassed before she passed away. From what they said, I think right here, activists called for the systematic charges and how the military handles reports of actual harassment and assault. So if I'm not mistaken, I think in the documentary it says that Robinson, but I think when it goes in ranks, because I know in the army and military they go in ranks. I think he was a little bit higher. I think he was one rank higher than her, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. So, hang on, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to go and let the dogs out. Anyways, so during all this they called, so Vanessa's family, activists, and politicians called for an investigation into Fort Hood. It's the nation's third largest army base. So here, I probably should even say what I'm about to say. Never mind. On July 10th of 2020, Ryan D. McCarty, the Secretary of the Army, ordered an investigation into Fort Hood's command culture after a year of violent unalivings, deaths, unalivings, and complaints of actual harassment on the military base. As a result, on the report of investigations finding released on December 8th, 14 Army officials at Fort Hood were either fired, suspended, including several high-ranking leaders. The investigation found major flaws at Fort Hood and a command climate that was quote-unquote that was permissive of actual harassment and actual assault. So during the whole thing, a lot of people said that Vanessa's case really cracked what was going on behind doors at Fort Hood. Not only was that, but they did find another guy. I think they found like 2 or 3 other Army specialists who were, like, they found their remains, if I'm not mistaken. I know it talks about it in the documentary. I have to go back. So Army investigators detained Specialist Robinson in the unaliving of Specialist Guillen just hours after her remains were found, but a series of missteps allowed him to flee. Then he fatally unalived himself with a pew-pew, according to the Army report released on April 30th, 2020. I don't think it'll give it to me if I click it. Among the report's findings, Specialist Guillen was actually harassed, but not by Specialist Robinson, but that he had also been accused of unrelated actual harassment. The report found that a breakdown in the communication between his unit and criminal investigation agents allowed him to escape. Okay, so I know I had said it was, I don't remember if he had did it. I know she was actually harassed by somebody in the unit. I don't remember who. I don't think it was him. But in the documentary, it did say they thought it was him because he is a higher rank. I don't know. It's all, the documentary says a lot. I recommend you guys go watch it. The family files a lawsuit against the government. So Natalie Kawam, who's the lawyer of the Guillen family, filed a $35 million lawsuit against the United States Army for actual assault in the wrongful death of Specialist Guillen. And I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Okay. Let me pull up the other article. I know. Let's see. I have so many. Okay, we're gonna read this one. Let me put it on this end. Okay. Oh, I think I'll let the video play then.
New details revealed in the death of Vanessa Guillen. The Fort Hood soldier was reported missing more than 2 months ago. And we need to warn you, some viewers may find them disturbing. Brandon Hamilton reports.
A chilling document giving a gruesome timeline of what happened to specialist Vanessa Guillen, the two suspects, specialist Aaron Robinson and his girlfriend Cicely Aguilar. Attorney Natalie Quam detailing the gruesome murder on April the 22nd.
When she went to the armory room, Robinson was with her, and he took a hammer and bludgeoned her, killed her in there. It was really, really graphic. There was blood all over the place.
According to the affidavit, Robinson then placed Guillen in a box, picked up Aguilar from work, and then drove to the Leon River in Bell County. To dispose of the body, Robinson and Aguilar are accused of using a machete-type knife to remove Guillen's limbs and head. The affidavit also states Guillen's body was placed in 3 separate holes and covered. On April the 26th, the two returned to the Leon River, burning the body and pouring concrete over the shallow grave. The details too hard to tell Vanessa's mother, Gloria.
We can't tell her that they found Vanessa's body or anything. I mean, this lady is so fragile. It's not healthy or safe for her to know anymore. You know, I cried. We all cried when we heard this, because you just think about how this girl must have suffered.
While Army CID says they found no evidence of sexual harassment, Quam says that was the reason for Guillen's murder.
We believe that Vanessa told him that she was reporting him, and that's why he bludgeoned her.
Through local news coverage, the affidavit says Robinson learned the remains had been found earlier this week. He fled the base on foot, turning a gun on himself in Killeen overnight Tuesday. Aguilar has been charged with tampering with evidence with intent to impair a human corpse.
That was Brandon Hamilton reporting. The family's attorney says they're continuing their call for a congressional investigation.
So there's that. Let me find the other one. It's still unclear who she was. I mean, the only person who would know would be Vanessa, and she's not here to say her story. So let's look at this timeline. And then we are going to get into Anthony. We'll do Anthony. So this is a timeline. This is back in 2020. So let's look at these timelines they have. So April 22nd, remember, this is all in 2020. This is during I think this is start of COVID. Army PFC Vanessa Guillen is pronounced missing after she was last seen on the morning of April 22nd in the parking lot of her Regimental Engineer Squadron headquarters, 3rd Cavalry Regiment on Fort Hood, Texas, and has not been heard from since. Her car keys, barracks, room keys, identification card, and wallet were later found in the Army room where she was working earlier in the day. She was last seen in the parking lot wearing a black t-shirt and purple fitness-type pants. June 30th, partial remains were found close to the Leon River in Bell County, an area of interest in the search for missing Fort Hood soldier Vanessa Guillen. A suspect in Guillen's disappearance, later identified as Aaron David Robinson, her supervisor, unalived himself when law enforcement's attempt to make contact with him after he fled from Fort Hood. So San Antonio's here. This is where it all took place, almost. Meanwhile, Cecilia Aguilar was arrested and charged for assisting Robinson with disposing of Vanessa's body. Mind you, they did horrible things to her body. They dismembered her, tried to burn her, so many things. Aguilar faced up to 20 years in prison for conspiracy to tampering with evidence and 5 years of supervised release if she's found guilty. The charge carries a $250,000 fine. This is Cecile, whatever her name is. Aguilar was previously scheduled in court, but the hearing was postponed to January, so she would have been seen 2021 January. Also, July 1st, Guillen's rank was posthumously advanced to specialist. So July 1st, when I think she was about to be, she just became a specialist July 1st. Officials confirmed on July 6th the remains found near the river belonged to Vanessa. The family's attorney, Natalie Kawam, says Guillen was murdered, bunged, and to her ultimate her tragic passing. I don't know why I try to say ultimate, by her superior, Robinson. Her family said Guillen claimed Robinson had actually assaulted her, but Army officials said they found no such evidence. The claim sparked widespread concerns about actual abuse in the military. Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarty, ordered an independent review of the command climate at Fort Hood following Guillen's slaying. The purpose of the independent review is to determine whether the command climate and culture at Fort Hood and the surrounding military community reflects the Army's values, including safety, respect, inclusiveness, and a commitment to diversity, workplace, and communities free from sexual harassment. August 14th, the public memorial set in Houston for Vanessa Guillen. So she was originally from Houston. August 15th, they had their private ceremony and funeral. September 1st, the commander of the U.S. Army Fort Hood is removed from his post as part of a previously scheduled change in leadership and will no longer be transferred to Fort Bliss. It's another fort, I think, here in Texas. Scott Effenlant will remain at Fort Hood and continue to serve as Deputy Commanding General for support. Due to this, the Army will name a new commander for the 1st Armed Division at Fort Bliss in El Paso. September 8th, Congress announced it was launching an investigation into sexual harassment, disappearances, deaths, and leadership response at Fort Hood after 28 soldiers stationed at the U.S. Army base in Texas died this year. September 16th, legislation honoring Vanessa Guillen introduced on Capitol Hill. The I Am Vanessa Guillen Act of 2020 has bipartisan support, if I said that right. The lead sponsors are 20 Representative Jackie Speier and Mark Wayne Mill, Houston area Congressman Sylvia Garcia, and Congressman Pete Olson, a Democrat-Republican, are co-sponsors. Hang on. I forgot to tell people I was live. The bill seeks to change how reports of actual assault and harassments are dealt in the military and how the military deals with missing service members, and it will allow service members to file actual assault claims to the third party instead of their chain of command. So basically what it is instead of service members going to their commander, they can go to somebody outside. So I want to say they can go to police too, if I'm not mistaken. A independent prosecutor will be allowed to investigate cases of actual violence and make actual harassment and actual assault a crime with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Currently, actual harassment is typically addressed through administrative sanctions. December 8th, the Army announced the findings of independent panel investigations into Fort Hood. They fired or suspended 14 officers and enlisted soldiers at the base and ordered policy changes to address chronic leadership failures in the base that contribute to a widespread pattern of violence, including murder, actual assaults, and harassment. 2 general officers were among those being removed from their jobs as top Army leaders announced the finding of an independent panel investigation into problems at the Texas base. The firings and suspense included Army Major General Scott Effenlant, who was left in charge of the base earlier this year when Guillen sadly passed away, as well as Major General Jeffrey Boardwater, commander of the 1st Cavalry Divisions. The administrative actions are expected to trigger investigations that could lead to a wide range of punishments. Those punishments can go from a simple letter of reprimand to a military discharge. The base commander, Army Lieutenant Gen. Pat White, will not face any administrative actions. He was deployed to Iraq as a commander there much of the year. McCarty also ordered a new Army policy that changes how commanders deal with missing soldiers, requiring them to list service members as absent, unknown for up to 48 hours, and to do everything they can to locate the service members to determine their absence is voluntary or not being declaring anyone AWOL or absent without leave. So that's basically the timeline of Vanessa Guillen. Let's see. Do I have anything else on Vanessa? I don't. Right. Well, let me put up Vanessa's picture one last time. Not one last time, but let me just put it up there. So Vanessa. Oh, where are you? I lost you, Vanessa. There you are. I lost her picture on my computer. Oh, and I lost you guys. There we go. And then there's Vanessa. There we go. So Vanessa Guillen she was a very beautiful lady, very beautiful woman. She was only 20 years old when this happened. She just wanted to be in the military and serve our country, protect our country. But sadly, there is cruel people out there, especially involving the Army, the military. They did end up arresting Cecilia Aguilar. From what I understand, I think she is still behind bars. Hi, my dog came in here. The other one, Specialist Robinson, did unalive himself. Vanessa got justice, but I always want people to know to never forget about Vanessa Guillen. But yeah, may you rest in peace, Vanessa. I'm so sorry that these two cruel, evil monsters did this horrible thing to you. You just wanted to protect and serve our country. She does have a law, the I Am Vanessa law. I Am Vanessa Guillen law. It is basically where service members don't have to report extra harassment to their command leaders. They can report it to a third party. But yeah. Sorry if I'm very sorry. I'm my mind is everywhere right now. I don't know why. It's not everywhere. I'm focusing on other things while I'm doing this, but I'm getting ready for our next segment. But yeah, it's so sad what they did to Vanessa, and it's so horrible what they did to her. I mean, they red-rummed her, and then they dismembered her body, and then try to burn her remains. Are you freaking kidding me? Those are cold-blooded monsters, in my opinion. Now, since we are getting on to our next segment, exclamation, I think it's advisory. Mod, if you can do that before I start. I think it's exclamation advisory. I don't remember my Nightbot commands. I know it's exclamation something. Now, our next topic we are going to talk about involves, is it advisory? Okay, yeah, I think it is. Our next end of the podcast involves very heavy trigger warning. It is a heavy topic. It does talk about child abuse. It does talk about how CPS failed these three little boys. CPS has failed so many kids. This is Anthony Avalos, Gabriel Fernandez, and Noah, I think it's Cuatro. Cuatro. Somebody told me it's Cuatro, but I said Cuatro. These 3 little boys were failed by CPS. They endured so many horrible things from their family. But I also want to let you guys know that there's another case out of the UK where it's not always the parents who abuse kids, it's also family members. There's a case out of the UK where a little girl was brutally tortured by her aunt and uncle. And the reason, and it was weird to me because I was like, well, how did the aunt and uncle do that? Like, did the mom lose custody of her? How did it go? I ended up reading it. It's on my Discord. Ended up being, her name's Victoria. I think it's Victoria, right? Hang on. I want to give you guys the right name. Okay, yeah. So Victoria's mom ended up giving Victoria to her aunt for her to get a good education. They ended up going to France. They ended up going all over, the UK, France, Paris, and she was brutally tortured, abused by her aunt and uncle, all the way to her tragic passing. There's another one where a little boy was abused by his grandma. There's another case where a little girl was abused by her mother's friends. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's always the parents. It's always the parents. No, I mean, family members do it. Friends do it. The boyfriends, the girlfriends of the parents do abuse. And it's absolutely disgusting how they can do something like that. They're very cold-hearted. So we're actually going to start with Anthony. And then we're going to start with Noah. And then we're going to end it with Gabriel. Now, actually, let's start with Gabriel. Yeah, let's start with Gabriel. So let me pull up Gabriel's stuff. It's a lot of things. I'm going to read you. Oh, that's Wiki. I can't read you Wikipedia. So let's talk about Gabriel. Now, mind you, these are all out of order. Thanks, Discord, for out of ordering my stuff. So let's talk about it. I do recommend that this is a very heavy topic. If you need to leave or exit the stream, you can. I'm not gonna get mad. I understand. Seeing the trials in the documentary of Gabriel when it came out, it broke my heart. I literally cried. But let's talk about Gabriel, and then we're gonna talk about Noah, Anthony, and then Noah. And you're going to see how they all, in the documentary, during the trials of Gabriel Fernandez, Anthony Avalos had just sadly passed away. During the trials of Anthony Avalos, Noah had recently passed away, and they were all failed by CPS. So we're going to read an article of what the doctor describes of all the injuries that happened to Gabriel. So in the documentary, I actually took some notes. Where's my phone? Read on my phone. It's better. So if you don't know, there's a documentary on Gabriel Fernandez. And I took some key points from the documentary, and I told you guys to watch the documentary of Vanessa Guillen and of Gabriel. So in the documentary, what struck me was the 911 call. So Pearl, who is his mother, aka we call her Bozo the Clown, she told the hospital and family members that Gabriel slipped and fell in the shower. That's why they called 911, because he was unconscious. But in the 911 call, her boyfriend said that he was unconscious, but before they found him unconscious, he was quote unquote playing with his siblings. Now, it's weird to me how they both, right off the bat, they both made up their own little stories when really they beat him before they called 911. The only reason they called 911 was because he didn't get up. Another key point was the nurses. So when they took Gabriel into the hospital, the nurses said, you can feel his skull, and it felt like quote unquote Rice Krispies. You know how Rice Krispies feels all like that. So they said our skull, so if you touch your head, you can feel our scalp, right? Okay. With Gabriel, you can literally feel his skull, and it felt like Rice Krispies. They brutally beaten this boy so bad that you can feel his skull. They also said Gabriel didn't look like a child because he was beaten so badly. He had injuries, old and fresh injuries all over his body. You name it, any part of his body, even his private parts. His private part had a slit. So he had injuries all over his body. There was reports of his teeth being knocked out too. Another thing, like I said, was Anthony Avalos. During the trial and the documentary, they do mention the Anthony Avalos case. It was revealed during the documentary. It comes out later in the end of the documentary. The aftermath. So after Gabriel's tragic passing and during the trials, all the nurses who encountered Gabriel, school teachers, anybody who saw him with his mom said it really affected them because he was failed by CPS. Family members and people all over the world still talk about Gabriel and say how the system failed him. They rated it, they put it on the documentary, it was the worst child abuse case ever. And then what also was weird to me was Gabriel lived most of his life with his uncle and his uncle's partner. So his uncle was into men. But then at the age of 3, his grandma intervened and ended up saying, a boy is not supposed to be raised by 2 men. And the grandma and grandpa took him. And then a few months before Gabriel passed away, he ended up living with his mom and boyfriend. In my opinion, I think Gabriel should have stayed with his uncles because seeing pictures of him and his uncles, he was healthy, happy. He was a little boy who was living life. But once he fell into his mother's hands, he ended up being beaten, bruised, and so many other horrible things. Now, I also put on Discord if you did watch the documentary, to go to the 2037 mark, and I want you guys to remember that. So if you haven't already, after this podcast, you should go look at it, and I want you guys to look at it, and then I want you to put your comments down below of what you think of that part. But let's read it, or let's play the video.
I'm Leslie Sykes in the ABC 7 Eyewitness Newsroom. A doctor who performed a brain examination on Gabriel Fernandez was the latest to testify in the boy's murder trial. Alyssa Rake's testimony was part of the trial for Isauro Aguirre, the boyfriend of Gabriel's mother, Pearl Fernandez. Aguirre is on trial for torturing and murdering the 8-year-old boy. Dr. Rake was the attending physician at Children's Hospital Los Angeles when Gabriel was brought in. She said Gabriel was brain dead. Trial for Aguirre will continue Monday. Pearl Fernandez will have a separate trial later.
So the doctor said he was yeah, the doctor determined he was brain dead. Poor little baby. So let's talk into it. That is transcript that we just watched. So during the examination, she says she found a depressed skull fracture, bruising on his eye, and some missing upper teeth. She saw different stages and ages of bruising and scars, small circular cuts, that he had a deep lash on the base of his private part, and a burn mark. From radiological images, Rake found Gabriel had a broken skull and a hematoma on his head, swelling on the brain, and a division of his nose, removed teeth, neck swelling, and a cut in his liver and a hematoma on it, and that he had lung disease. She also said Gabriel had multiple old and new rib fractures and a BB in his lung and a swollen knee. So a BB is a BB pew pew. I think they said one he had in his groin, if I'm not mistaken. Her description of Gabriel's injuries was similar to another witness who testified in court Thursday. Another witness was Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff Erica Martinez, who responded to a child not breathing call at the Palmdale apartment and went with Gabriel to both hospitals he was rushed to. She said her job was to stay with Gabriel, and she saw him placed into the ambulance as he was taken to Antelope Valley Hospital. She said none of his family members went with him in the vehicle. So it would be Pearl and the boyfriend at the time. Martinez said during her time with Gabriel, she saw bruises all over his body, bumps, cuts, his eyes were swollen shut, and paramedics had placed a neck brace on him. Excuse me. She added that it appeared small items were lodged under his skin. The next part of Agita's trial is set for Monday. Pearl has a separate one. Okay. Our next article is oh man, I moved in all my things. All right, this article. Let me bring back up this article says what the brother of Gabriel testified in court. Now, since it involves a minor, I cannot get you this trial. I can only get you the part where they are sentenced. The two doofuses, the two shitface, Pearl and her fucking boyfriend, her fucking ugly boyfriend. They're both fucking ugly. Sorry, I get very heated, but I can only get you that. I can't get you nothing else because it does involve a minor. So let's talk about what happened to him. He was pepper sprayed in the face, forced to eat vomit, cat feces, from what his brother had testified. And this right here, see this article? This will be in my Discord. I can't show you guys because YouTube will get mad at me. So join my Discord. There's my Discord link. Before 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez sadly passed away, he endured unimaginable abuse from his mother's boyfriend, including getting pepper sprayed in the face and being forced to eat cat feces. The boy's brother testified in court on Wednesday. Gabriel's brother Ezekiel is now 16 years old. He was only 12 when his little brother was killed. The testimony brought to light disturbing details in the case of Isario Gita, aka Doofus, who is accused of torturing and unaliving Gabriel. In May 2013, Gabriel was the son of Agita's girlfriend, 34-year-old Pearl Fernandez, who, well, of course, they had two separate trials, but I think they did one together. Ezekiel described a daily barrage of beatings Gabriel endured at the hands of both Agita and Pearl. The courtroom was silent as the prosecution wrote in a small cabinet that Agita and Fernandez would allegedly lock the boy in. Hang on. Can you hear me now? Okay, I don't know what happened. My computer froze. But like I was saying, the courtroom was silent as the prosecution rolled in a small cabinet that Aguirre and Fernandez would allegedly lock the boy in, bound and gagged, sometimes for hours without food, water, or access to the bathroom. The cabinet, which Ezekiel referred to as the box, was locked with a pair of handcuffs. Throughout the 16-year-old's testimony, Aguirre remained stone-faced and motionless. He did not look up at Ezekiel. Teen said Aguilar would hit Gabriel with his fists, kick him, and pick him up by the neck, drop him to the ground once the child lost consciousness. Ezekiel also said Aguirre would pepper spray Gabriel in the face and strike his naked body with the belt buckle and a metal hanger. Aguirre would pew-pew Gabriel in the face, chest, legs, and groin with the BB pew-pew, and also pin him against the wall until the boy passed out. The teen testified Ezekiel described one instance in which Aguirre struck Gabriel so hard that the child's head left an indentation on the wall. He said sometimes during the beatings, Aguirre would call Gabriel gay. At one point during the testimony, the teen said, "My mom and her boyfriend made Gabriel eat spoiled stuff or expired stuff. One thing I remember is expired spinach. He threw it up and they made him eat it off the table." The prosecutors then asked, "Did the defendant make Gabriel eat throw up?" Ezekiel answered, "Yes." He said his mother and her boyfriend also forced Gabriel to eat cat feces and cat litter. According to Ezekiel, the two would gang up on Gabriel together and beat him. He said they would laugh during the beatings. Ezekiel told Aguirre that his mom threatened him with the same abuse if he told anyone or did anything to stop them, and said Aguirre and his mom would tell him to lie about Gabriel's injuries, saying they happened while he was playing. He said his mother told him to lie about Gabriel's injuries to social workers and that she would hide his bruises with makeup. She said once his mother and Aguirre ordered him to punch his brother, Ezekiel said it was difficult to explain how he felt at that time, telling the court that he whispered in his brother's ears to fall when he pretended to hit him. Ezekiel said his mother and Aguirre only beat Gabriel, not himself, his sister Virginia, and his older brother Arnold. He testified that Gabriel was not given any toys and not allowed to play with his friends. He also said he didn't know why Gabriel was beaten, abused, and treated differently. So Gabriel endured a lot of things, and the fact that they even made Ezekiel participate in it, that's so sad. Gabriel was 8. I think he was still in the first grade when this was happening. And his brother, I think they said his brother was 12. One day, Gabriel passed away. Ezekiel said his mother, or on the day Gabriel passed away, Ezekiel said his mother and Aguirre hit Gabriel until he was bleeding and then dragged the boy into the room and closed the door. Ezekiel said he heard screams and bangs, and then everything went quiet. And then his sister testified. This is the box. So let me play this. If it goes. So my question is if all these beatings were happening and Gabriel was screaming, I mean, he had to have screamed. Did the neighbors hear anything? I know they lived in apartments. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to play. I just want to know, did the neighbors hear anything at all? Like, did the neighbors even decide to call cops? That's what I want to know. Like,
Mark, Michelle, will court recessed about 40 minutes.
That's what I want to know. Did the neighbors hear anything? Oh.
Mark, Michelle, will court recessed about 40 minutes ago, and there wasn't a dry eye in that courtroom as Gabriel's sibling.
I'll just read it. I guess it doesn't want to play. It's buffering. So Virginia, which is his sister, ended up talking. Where is the part? You see how my computer is just okay? Yeah. So Virginia, which is Gabriel's sister, So when Gabriel's 14-year-old sister took the stand, quiet sobs could be heard from the jury and audience. Virginia was 11 at the time of the abuse and tearfully described her eyewitness accounts of how Gabriel was choked and beaten with a bat, club, belt buckle, and metal hanger. She also testified that Aguirre and Fernandez made Gabriel wear pink leggings and a pink shirt to school. When asked how Gabriel's front two teeth were knocked out, Virginia responded, "My mother had punched him." Virginia then described the horror she says she witnessed the night of May 22nd, 2013. "I was sitting at the edge of my bed, and my mother's boyfriend was punching him," she said. "He knocked the air out of him. He fell over and didn't get back up." Virginia testified as she began crying. "So they picked him up, they threw him in the shower, and they kept yelling at him to wake up. And when he didn't wake up, my mother decided to call the police, and she told me to grab a rag and clean most of the blood that was on the floor." The judge had to call for a break because there were so many in the courtroom were crying and distraught. So the fact that Gabriel's mother, she's not even a mother, she's a deadbeat. So the fact that the deadbeat and her doofus boyfriend made him wear pink leggings and a pink shirt to school. Are you freaking kidding me? The teachers have to have said something. The teachers have to have noticed something. I mean, he was being beaten by his mom almost every freaking day. They had to have seen something. So this explains his teeth missing. The deadbeat, she beat him. That's how he lost his two front teeth. And then she said, doofus was punching him, and then I think he hit him, and then that Gabriel went unconscious. They threw him in the shower, keep yelling him, "Wake up." He didn't want to wake up, and they called 911. So in the 911 call, doofus said that he was playing with his siblings, and then deadbeat, ended up saying that she said that he was in the shower and fell. Yeah. Let's see another one. It just boils my blood how these two monsters ugh. So we are going to look at the next one. So during the trial, they ended up taking 4 social workers to court, and they were charged, but it ended up being they threw out the charges. Let me tell you why and what those charges were. So a California appeals court has thrown out criminal charges against 4 social workers in the torture and murder of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez. Stephanie Rodriguez, Patricia Clement, Kevin Baum, and Gregory Merritt were charged with child abuse and falsifying public records. Stephanie Rodriguez, Patricia Clement, Kevin Baum, and Gregory Merritt were charged with child abuse and falsifying public records. These 4 doofuses were charged with child abuse and falsifying public records. Mind you, these are social workers. That is a crime. That is a very serious felony, falsifying public records, and you're a social worker? Are you kidding me? And they threw this out? I don't think they should have thrown this out. They should have left it and threw you in jail with Pearl and with the deadbeat and doofus. All 4 were fired from the Los Angeles County Department of Child and Family Services after an internal investigation into the boys' passing. A 2-1 opinion and the 3-justice panel concluded there was no probable cause to hold the 2 social workers and their supervisors on the charges. Nah, they should look back into it. We conclude that the petitioners never had the rescue duty to control the abusers and did not have the care or custody of Gabriel for purposes of Penalized Code Section 273A, subdivision. We further conclude that petitioners were not only officers within the meaning of the Government Code Section 62,000. There is therefore no probable cause to hold them on charges of violating those laws, and trial court has been granted the motion to dismiss. I don't agree with this. Justice Victoria Gerald Chaney concurred that the 4 could not be charged with child abuse but wrote a dissent arguing that they could be prosecuted as public officers under the relevant government code. Allowing social workers to evade liability of falsifying a public document will incentivize social workers to put their own interest in avoiding liability for their misdeeds above the purpose of the child's state welfare. So, Pearl, the deadbeat, was sentenced to life in prison while her doofus boyfriend, Isario, the idiot, was sentenced to death. Good. During the trial, it was revealed that Gabriel had been starved, kept in handcuffs, pew pew with a BB pew pew, doused with pepper spray, forced to eat his own vomit, and locked in a cabinet with the sock stuffed in his mouth and muffle his screams. When Deadbeat called 911 on May 22nd, 2013 to report her son was not breathing, she told sheriff's deputies who responded that Gabriel had fallen and hit his head on the dresser. Paramedics found Gabriel naked in a bedroom with a cracked skull, 3 broken ribs, and BB pew-pews embelled in his lungs and groin. He sadly passed away 2 days later. Just I have so many things to say. I do have I'll put it on Discord. We'll talk about it on Discord. Join my Discord. And we're gonna talk about something. So last night, if you go back to last night, we read what Gabriel wrote to his mom. It made me tear up. You know, even though his mom would beat him and do these horrible, nasty things to him, he still went to school. Let me show you the picture. For those who haven't seen it. Oh, snap. Hang on. For those who haven't seen it. Okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to get it. Okay. Despite everything that happened to him, he still went to school looking like this for Mother's Day. Look at him. Look at his hands, how it has the bruises. Look at his head. Look at his eye. He has a freaking black eye. Look at his eye. That's a black eye. He's missing his teeth. He has all these marks on his head. His hands, his arms, his neck kind of looks swollen. His other hand. And he still went to school and did a Mother's Day thing. And he writes, "Happy Mother's Day. This coupon is for a time for me and you. Open the door to see who loves you," and it's a picture of him. And it goes on and says, "My mom is special. My mom is special because she's a loving mom, and I love her because she's beautiful. I like it when my mom helps me do my chores." So despite Gabriel enduring abuse, he still loved his mom. He thought his mom loved him, even though she was beating him. It's so sad. I mean, we're going to talk about what he told his teacher. But this is from the time. So this is the story behind the documentary. I can't play that because I'm going to get copyrighted. And it still comes up right here. Sorry, I got a little teary-eyed. Sorry. So, everyone's probably gonna ask me, what was going on that, Gabriel, when he was living, who was he living with? So, Gabriel lived with his uncle and his partner for a time. Then he went and lived with his grandparents before going to live with his mother. Footage of his time with his uncle show an apparent happy and healthy child. Gabriel's well-being took a devastating turn in 2012 when Pearl Fernandez took him in, reportedly to gain welfare benefits despite concerns from her family that she was neglectful towards other children. When Pearl Fernandez took him in, reportedly to gain welfare benefits despite concerns from her family that she was neglectful towards her other children. Now, Gabriel was perfectly fine with his uncles, right? But according to the documentary, allegedly, his grandma intervened and said that a little boy is not supposed to be raised by two men. Grandma took him. And then Pearl, she basically, from what I'm seeing, she took him in because she wanted money. That's what it was. Gain welfare benefits could mean SNAP, TANF. Despite the concerns of her family that she was neglectful towards her other children, that is a red flag right there. If you know she was neglectful to her other children, why did you let him go with her? And two, why did you let the other children stay with her if she was neglectful? If she was already a big red flag, why did you let children go with her? That's my big answer. That's my big, not my big answer, but my biggest question. Why did you let that happen? It breaks my heart because, if he was doing fine with his uncles, why did you take him away from him and let him go live with a horrible monster like her? That's what I want to know. But they said it there in the thing. She just took him in to reportedly gain welfare benefits. Are you freaking kidding me? It breaks my heart because he was a happy, healthy little boy, and then once he went with his mother, he endured so much pain. After joining his mother and Aguirre, after joining Deadbeat, she's not a mom, remember, Deadbeat and Doofus, Gabriel landed at a new school. Shortly after starting there, his teacher, Jennifer Garcia, sensed that things were not okay at home. Garcia, who appears throughout the 6-part docuseries, says that a couple weeks after he started in her classroom, Gabriel asked her, "Isn't normal for moms to hit their kids?" When she pressed him, like when she kept on, she didn't literally press him, but when she asked him more questions, Gabriel asked if it was normal to be hit with a buckle belt. And is it normal for you to bleed? He asked, according to the teacher. Garcia reported the exchange to the child abuse hotline, and the case ended up with the social worker, Stephanie Rodriguez. Stephanie is the one who was charged. According to the documentary, Rodriguez never adequately made the inquiries needed to determine the condition of Gabriel's home life. A 2018 investigation into Gabriel's case, published The Atlantic, who also appeared, records to show that Rodriguez never received information that showed Deadbeat had a history of abusing or neglecting her other children, and although Rodriguez and other representatives from agencies designed to protect children visited Gabriel's home multiple times, social workers never found signs of abuse strong enough to warrant removing him from his home. They later charged Rodriguez and 3 other social workers for child abuse and falsifying. They ended up throwing it out. That's what they did. So I'm guessing in the brief, the time she was responsible for Gabriel, she was overseeing other children whose conditions she felt were equally or more dangerous. So Stephanie, I think they're talking about Stephanie here, was overseeing other children whose conditions she felt were equally or more dangerous. The school year went on, and the abuse Gabriel endured worsened. He began coming to class with patches of missing hair, scabs on his scalp, injured lips from being punched in the face, and bruises all over his face after his mother pew-pewed him with the BB pew-pew. Gabriel's siblings said he was forced to eat cat litter and was kept locked in a cabinet in his mother's room. They said Deadbeat and Doofus called him gay and punished him for exhibiting feminine qualities like playing with dolls. Really? Oh my god. If he went to school looking like that, they should have gotten more reports, because if other teachers saw him, or even the principal or the nurse, they all should have reported it. Don't do that. Sorry, my dog. Deadbeat called 911 on May 22nd, 2013. Deadbeat is Pearl. That's my nickname for her. To report that Gabriel was not breathing. The paramedics who responded found him with broken ribs, a cracked skull, and BB pew-pew stuck in his body. In the docuseries, one paramedic who arrived on the scene said Gabriel's case was the worst she ever encountered in her career. The severe abuse was immediately obvious to first responders. He was taken into hospital and later declared brain dead. Sorry. Okay, here they're talking about the docuseries. Hang on. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that little boy faced so many things. Let me see. Do I have another one? I don't. Wait. Alright. Where am I at? I'm at the hour 7. Okay. I need to get to the next one. So that was Gabriel. So during the Gabriel Fernandez trial, Anthony Avalos was another little boy who was brought up, and he endured abuse from his mother and her boyfriend. So, hang on. We have another deadbeat and doofus. This is Anthony. Anthony was 10 years old. And this is his mother, deadbeat, and this is Doofus, her boyfriend. I don't even want to say it because you're not a fucking mother. You, Pearl, and you guys are not mothers. In my book, you're not a mother, because a real mother would never beat her child to death. A real mother would never let a man actually assault their kid. I'm talking to you, Jennifer Soto. Yeah, they're not real mothers in my books. So I don't even want to say it. The mother of Anthony Avalos and her former boyfriend have been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the 10-year-old's 2018 murder and torture. Heather Barron, aka the deadbeat, and her former boyfriend, aka the doofus, Kareem, were convicted in March for the abuse and killing of the boy in Lancaster, California. All this happened in California, by the way. Gabriel's happened in California too, I think. More than a dozen family members gave heart-wrenching statements. My kids asked if I'm okay. Anthony's father, Victor Avalos, told the court. NBC reported, of course. I tell him yes, but it's not like that. I feel some type of guilt by not being able to help him when he most needed me. I think about that every day. I am finally free from all the torture and abuse. Anthony's sister, Destiny, testified. If I would have known this would have ended with me losing a brother, I'd do it all over again, just one difference. It would be me, not Anthony. On June 20th, 2018, Deadbeat called 911 to report that Anthony was hurt after being injured in a fall. According to LA Sheriff's Department, but prosecutors said all his injuries came from weeks and years of abuse at the hands of his mother and her boyfriend. There's Anthony. According to earlier reporting by People, authorities came to learn that over the final 5 or 6 days of his young life, Anthony suffered a disturbing amount of abuse, including having hot sauce poured on his face and mouth, being made to kneel on rice for long periods of time, being whipped with a belt on his body, legs, back part, and the bottom of his feet, and being repeatedly held upside down and dropped on his head. According to the prosecution filing in 2018, Levi was also accused of lifting Anthony and slamming him on the floor, then kicking him in the stomach. After his passing, a review of DCFS contact with Anthony and his family was conducted by the Office of Child Protection. It was discovered that an agency had 13 contacts with them from February 2013 to November 2016, per earlier reporting. Among those who reported abuse or neglect were law enforcement's relatives, school employees, therapists, and others. During their mock trial, Destiny and Anthony's brother Raphael testified about the alleged abuse from Levi. Raphael said one of his punishments will be holding weights in the air for long periods of time, while Destiny said the children were forced to fight each other. According to the LA Times, she also testified that when she was forced to fight Anthony, he would let her win so she could avoid further punishment from Levi or whatever. Doofus. Anthony's 4th grade teacher also testified during the trial, saying Anthony was everyone's best friend and always happy and joy to be around. She read a handwritten letter Anthony gave her just 2 weeks before his passing. Quote, I just want to stay with you forever, but I can't. I just hope you have a great rest of your life because you already know that I'm going to have a good life. It's so sad. Actually, now that I read that, I think Gabriel actually did the same thing. Hold on. Let me find that real quick. Hang on. I think Gabriel actually wrote stuff too. If I'm not mistaken, now that I read that with Anthony, I think Gabriel did too. Okay, yeah, read a note from the 8-year-old she found. Yeah, okay. So Jennifer, which is, I'm sorry, I'm going back to Gabriel for a little bit. Jennifer, who is Gabriel's teacher, she testified in the trial of Doofus, the boyfriend of Deadbeat, aka Pearl. The letter was written in shaky handwriting, and she found it in his desk days before she learned of his, of him passing away. It says, I love you, Mom, and Gabriel is a good play. The note said, Garcia said Gabriel confided in her early on in 2013 school year and told her she was beaten at home. Okay, so this is where it fits in. So 2013 was when Gabriel was being abused. 2013 is also the same year that Anthony was being abused. Now, mind you, these were happening at the same time, except when the trial was happening, Anthony had sadly passed away, or they had mentioned his case. She immediately reported to the Department of Children and Family Services. So besides the teacher who reported it, when it came to Gabriel, a security officer, they actually say in a documentary, a security officer also reported it as well. He reported that Gabriel had bruises. He had a black eye, and he was with Pearl. I think they were at a DPS, like, little office. And the fact that they were in a DPS, aka CPS office, that none of the social workers decided to say, you know what? He has bruises. I'm actually have to find that. Sometimes my mom makes me bleed, and I said, where do you bleed? He says, well, on my bottom, because she hits me with the belt. And he says, you know what part? You know that part with the metal on it? That part. Garcia's heard saying during a phone call with DCFS that played on for court. Over the next few months, Garcia says she saw repeated bruises, burns, wounds, and other injuries on the young boy. She said it at least one instance that Gabriel came to school wearing girl clothes. Aguirre, aka Doofus, remained emotionless during the testimony with his eyes on the table in front of him, as Garcia described seeing Gabriel become more withdrawn and lash out in anger when questioned about his injuries. Are you sure that's what really happened? And then he did eventually tell me, and he was really angry, she said. Well, it's because my mom pew-pew me in the face with the BB pew-pew, she said. She called CPS multiple times and then realized Gabriel was suffering more abuse because of it. I didn't want to call. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I could look at his face and not be able to assure him that it wasn't going to happen again when I couldn't say that. When he was absent for several days, Garcia was told he was sent to live with his family in Texas, but she said it hoped it was true, but roughly a week later, she found out he passed away. The 8-year-old was found responsive in his home. Let me find that one article. It's the security guard. Where is that? It says it in the documentary. Is it this one? Hang on, guys. Okay, I don't think it's gonna show me it. I can't show that. Dang it. Okay. Well, when I find it, I will put it on my Discord, or you can watch the documentary. It has it on there where I think it was a security guard. Hold on, let me find it on my phone. No, I'll put it on Discord. Join my Discord. I will put in there when the security guard said that. I think they were at a DCFS stop when he saw them. And if it was a DFSS, aka a CPS stop, the social workers should have seen it. It came out in a documentary. It's in the first episode where they talked about it. I can't show you this article because it has him in the thing. I'm going to play the 911 call of Anthony Avalos. And then we're going to get into the last part of our live. And we're going to talk about Noah. So let me share this tab. I'm going to get an ad. Hang on. Okay, there.
The murder of a 10-year-old Lancaster boy. For the first time, we are hearing the 911 call his mother made the day before he died. Today, a judge unsealed transcripts and chilling evidence prosecutors presented to the grand jury. Heather Barron and her boyfriend, Kareem Leyva, are accused of beating, starving, and torturing Anthony Avalos. In June, Barron called 911 saying he wasn't breathing and was vomiting and bleeding.
Okay, and who needs our help today? What happened?
My son,
Okay.
he was supposed to woke up and he felt like he was bumping.
Okay, listen, does he have a fever?
No, he doesn't have a fever.
Is he breathing? Okay, listen to me. Listen.
Meanwhile, in an interview with detectives, Leyva described beating Avalos with a belt, pushing him and holding him down on the carpet. At one point, he even says everything is his fault. No trial date has been set. Barron and Leyva are being held on $2 million bail each.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Click the ABC 7.
They were sentenced. I think they both got sentenced to life, if I'm not mistaken. But that is the 911 call of Anthony Avalos. You see how she's crying? The fake crying? Really? Let me see. Okay, let me read this article. This is from The Sun. I gotta close out these other articles. There we go. This is a deadbeat. Why are you wearing a rosary? Take it off. My damn God. My good gosh. So, the family of Anthony, they filed a settlement with the LA County over the damning mishandling of Anthony's case. The settlement means that Hathaway, Sycamore Shout, APK, CPS are the only defendants left in the lawsuit brought in July 2019. It claimed the county and multiple social workers failed to properly respond to reports of abuse against Anthony and his half-siblings. In the later twist, court documents revealed the county assigned Barbara Dixon to work with the family despite allegations she failed spot abuse in the case of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez, whose case, it turned into a documentary. This is the next one we're going to talk about. I can't show you that. Sorry. The California State Board of Behavior Services placed Dixon on the 4-year probation, which started on May 31st. Dixon has claimed she did not notice any signs of abuse while working on Anthony's case. The Sun U.S. has contacted Dixon's legal team for comment. Gabriel, was killed after being repeatedly whipped and beaten by his deadbeat mother and her doofus boyfriend. According to the court papers, lawyers... Stop doing that. Lawyers for Hathaway Sycamore state the plaintiffs make no allegations on what Dixon allegedly witnessed or whether she suspected any abuse not really known by social services. Anthony's deadbeat mother, and her doofus boyfriend were charged with first-degree murder after he sadly passed away in the hospital from fatal bleed on the brain caused when he was allegedly dangled from a height and repeatedly dropped on his head. So, Anthony passed away from fatal bleeding to his brain because he was dropped. Gabriel, because they hit him, so he was brain dead. So now, let's talk about our final topic, Noah. And then we are going to talk about let's talk about Noah. So Gabriel was 8. Gabriel was in the 1st grade. Anthony was 10. He was in the 4th grade. Now Noah was 4 years old when he was beaten by his deadbeat mother and father. Mind you, Pearl, the deadbeat, and her boyfriend beat Gabriel. Heather, the deadbeat, and her boyfriend beat Anthony. Now, these two deadbeats beat their 4-year-old son. A California man and woman who tortured and murdered their 4-year-old son will spend the next several decades behind bars. In late March, Jose Maria Cuatro and Ursula Elaine Juarez pleaded no contest on 2 counts each for the July 2019 tragic passing of Noah Cuatro. The boy's father accepted culpability on charges of murder in the 1st degree and torture. The boy's mother accepted culpability on charges of murder in the 2nd degree and torture. The pair reported the child's death as an accidental drowning that occurred in a community swimming pool at the apartments where the family lived in Palmdale. An autopsy, however, put the lie on that claim. Though Noah, he passed away by this asphyxiation. I can't say it because YouTube's going to come at me. There was no water in his lungs. His hair was dry when he was found. The medical examiner also turned up evidence of blunt force trauma and actual assault. He was great. Noah also had multiple ribs in various stages of healing, bruised all of his body, and other internal injuries, including a lacerated liver. On Tuesday, Jose was given a 32-year sentence to life in prison. Juarez was given a sentence of 22 to life in prison. As part of their plea deal, both defendants waive any rights to appeal their sentences or convictions. Noah's grandma exonerated, I think if I said that right, the murderer's parents during their sentence hearing. The report read by prosecutor, "Why, my God, why is there such evil in you, Ursula? What kind of a monster are you, Jose?" Eva Angela Hernandez, the great-grandmother who previously had custody of Noah, said in her statement, "You're both very sick. You are the worst kinds of sickos. They're scumbags." Hernandez also said Juarez had previously told her she did not like her own son and the sad state of affairs had implied by the apparent disdain Jose had for Noah. Prosecutors alleged the boy's father did not even believe Noah was his son and subsequently targeted him for brutal punishment. To complete tragedy, authorities in the Golden State apparently knew about the abuse Noah suffered and lived with for quite some time, and in the end they failed to act, which some believe hastened the boy's passing. This is Noah. Noah's parents lost custody of him once when Hernandez came to take care of the boy. Noah was returned to his parents in 2018. 2 months before he passed away, the boy's social worker requested that he be removed from his parents once again. A request later approved by a judge, but simply never put into action by authorities. A separate Department of Children and Family Services investigation began the month after the murder based on the tip he had been actually abused. Hang on, guys. Actually abused and other forms of domestic violence were occurring where he lived, and this last time child welfare agents were trying to interview family members when Noah passed away. So he was actually abused. So he was great. Noah's great aunt, in a victim impact statement, said her otherwise found memories of Juarez have been erased by her ghastly crime. She would have painted a picture of her being a great mom while abusing Noah behind closed doors. The great boy's aunt said, "I will never forget him, and I will never forget the monsters who took him away from us." Hang on, guys. Sorry. So again, another kid failed. So many kids failed underneath the CPS all over the world, not only here in America, but literally all over the world. Excuse me. Let's read this one, and then I think that's all I have for you guys. Yeah, because I'm already about to hit the 2-hour mark. And StreamYards is already like, yo, you're using up all your stuff. You know what, StreamYards, leave me alone. So, what to know? This is deputies who responded to the family's house in July were told he had drowned in the apartment complex pool. Injuries on Noah's body prompted an investigation into his death, which investigators called suspicious. As the I-Team has documented, DCFS has been a part of Noah's life since he was born. So CPS has been involved in Noah's life since he was born, and they failed him. Okay. So prosecutors said Monday in court that Noah had fresh blood in his rear end and a fractured vertebrae, laceration on his liver, fractured ribs, and bruises all over his body. Prosecutors alleged that these injuries were inflicted in front of Noah's siblings. So this part right here means he was actually assaulted, aka grape. I'm presuming by his father, maybe, allegedly. I don't know what that was. There's like things going on outside. My dogs do some crazy things. Hang on. Anyways, my daughter was a good mother to her kids, and she never hurt her kids. She never raised her voice on or her hands on her kids. Ursula's mother, Sylvia Waters. Oh, please don't, said outside court, sobbing as she spoke. I don't care what anybody says. That's my daughter. She's No. Don't be sticking up for your daughter. Your daughter knows exactly what she did. Your daughter's a freaking deadbeat monster. Really, like, you're coming to your daughter's defense knowing that your grandson was beaten, tortured, and actually assaulted, and you're saying that's my daughter, she's innocent? No. Don't come with that. No. Your daughter knew what she was doing. Your daughter has a developed frontal lobe. She knows what she was doing. She even said it herself in the other article. She never loved him, and the other guy said, that's not my kid. No. Don't stick up for her. Don't stick up for her. Who are you? Her mother? Of course you're going to stick up for her. Don't stick up for her. I'm just mad. Other family members in court said they took care of Noah at various times during his young and short life. When he was taken from his parents' custody by CPS, they also claimed that Noah would refuse to go back home. The arrest and charges came 2 months after Noah's parents told the LA Sheriff's Department that the boy drowned in their pool July 5th. Noah was airlifted to the Palmdale Regional Medical Hospital and then the Children's Hospital. Sorry. Where he sadly passed away on July 6th. The injuries found on his body, deputies deemed the death suspicious and opened an investigation. A removal order that could have taken the boy out of his home was issued in May but never executed. The order was submitted to a court and approved by a judge. The boy passed away about 2 months after the order was issued. As the I-Team has documented, CPS has been part of Noah's life since he was born. And you still failed him. Earlier this month, the workers who asked the judge for the removal order told the judge that Noah's parents were not, quote-unquote, complaint or truthful. The relatives of Noah's mother said the boy's parents loved him and the children very much, insisting that the family's home life is not being represented accurately. I'm just getting very pissed because no, why are you sticking up for your daughter for? Saying my daughter is innocent. No, in the fuck way she is not innocent. She knew what the fuck she was doing. She was abusing the little boy, Noah, who was only 4 years old. Hang on. Today's Sorry. But yeah. Tonight's true crime series, we talked about a little bit about Vanessa, Gabriel, Anthony, and Noah. Vanessa, one of her killers is in jail. One of her other killers took his own life. Vanessa, I will continue to say your name because what happened to you was just so sad and tragic. You joined the military to fight for our country. Gabriel Fernandez was just a little boy who was failed by CPS, along with Anthony and Noah, who were also failed, and many other kids across the whole world have been failed. It breaks my heart. All their deadbeat mothers, they're not even mothers, all the deadbeats and their boyfriends are in prison. They better stay there, and I don't hope, but treat them the way they treat those kids. Let them be abused every day like they did those kids. Make Pearl endure what Gabriel endured by her. Make Heather endure what she made Anthony endured. Make, what was her name? Ursula endure what Noah endured. And along with their nasty ass boyfriends as well. It's so sad what these three boys and other kids face. There's some cases that aren't even in the public eye that we don't know about. But yeah, it breaks my heart so bad. But this is gonna conclude another true crime series, Late Nights with Des. I do have another live next week. I think it's on Wednesday. We're gonna talk about baby Brianna. That's another case. But yeah, I will find more articles and I'll share them to my Discord. Watch documentaries. They show more. There's no documentaries on Anthony or Noah. There's some Spotify podcasts on them. It's not sponsored YouTube by Spotify. But yeah, it breaks my heart how these three boys and many other kids all over the world endure these pain and torture, and these social workers don't see that. They fail them. Vanessa, it breaks my heart too because she just wanted to be a soldier and fight for our country, and look what happened to her. But yeah, I will see you guys on Wednesday, the 19th. We're going to talk about baby Brianna, and then we're going to talk about Megan Boswell. And then I think we're going to do Madeline, because Madeline, yeah, I think it's Madeline too. So we'll be talking about Madeline Soto too. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I will see you guys on the next one. Happy Saturday. Happy Sunday. Tomorrow's Sunday. And yeah, be safe. Love you guys. And yeah, bye guys.